Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. 20th Century Fox has provided us with our first look at Ridley Scott's upcoming adaptation of Andy Weir's The Martian. Now, this looks absolutely breathtaking, and one of the big things that makes it different from any other Ridley Scott film that's come out in the last few years is the fact that we now have, at least from the trailer, we have a relatable cast. We have relatable characters. You look at movies like Prometheus, which looks beautiful, but none of the characters in that movie really felt relatable. They were all a hodgepodge of different character types, but nobody out there could really figure out exactly where they stood in regards to that entire ensemble. Then you look at The Counselor, which I don't even want to get into. But then you look at Exodus, Gods and Kings, and my problem with Exodus, Gods and Kings was the fact that I felt that even though the movie was a little long, it needed about an extra 15 minutes. It looks like they included too many things that didn't need to be included, but when you watch the movie in its entirety, they all do kind of make sense. But the very beginning of the movie and the very end of the movie feel very truncated. They feel very rushed. It's almost like, oh, well, we got to hurry it up. We got to end it and go. Credits. And I hope that that's not what happens with this. And one of the big reasons that I think that this could work, although the same thing could have been said about The Counselor because of who wrote it, but when you look at this movie, or you look at this story, Andy Weir's story is an absolutely incredible tale. Now, it's fiction, so it's not real. I mean, obviously we haven't had a manned mission to Mars yet, but it's essentially a tale of survival. It's like Castaway, but instead of it being on an island, he's now lost on a planet. So they're on an expedition, the Ares expedition to Mars, and a big storm happens, like a massive storm, which coincidentally looks exactly like the storm that happened in Prometheus. I hope that that's not just how Ridley Scott feels that that's going to look, or if that is indeed the way that it looks or would look in real life. I don't know. It just, I felt that, okay, well, that was the same exact design. There's a lot of similarities between the design of Prometheus and the design of everything that we've seen in The Martian. And I wonder if it's just because he's working with the same team, which if that is, there's a shorthand there, it works well, then I'm all for it. But it just, to me, it was like, oh, okay, well, that's the same storm. But anyway, when you look at what the movie's about, the fact that a storm hits and what's his name? Matt Damon's character, I forget his actual character's name. He gets presumably killed. It looks like he gets hit by something, gets sent flying, and then they can't see him anymore, so they have to abandon the mission. They take off from Mars. And then you find out that he actually survived the storm. And now he's been left marooned on Mars. So the whole movie looks to be about his ability to try to contact Earth again, or at least the ship, because he has no way right now to try to get a message out, so nobody's able to figure out if he's alive or not. They all just assume he's dead. But he also only has, I believe it was 30 or 31 days worth of supplies. Like the habitat that they live in was only designed to function for 31 days, and he calculates it's going to take them about 4 years to be able to get a manned mission back to Mars. So he has to try to expand upon his knowledge and expand upon the capabilities that the Hab is already able to do and try to survive for 4 years. And as he puts it exactly in the trailer, he's going to science the shit out of this. And this, like, looking at how Matt Damon is portraying the character, looking at the, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, even though we get small little bits of it, looking at, Kate Mara and Jessica Chastain, all of these characters look, even though they are fantastical characters and they are obviously fictional characters, they look relatable. And that is, I think, one of the biggest missing pieces from Ridley Scott's latest films, have been the relatability of the characters and of the actors portraying them. And I really think that this one is going to knock it out of the park. Going back to my earlier statement, Cormac McCarthy was the one who wrote The Counselor. And, I mean, it was his first screenplay, but this is the guy who wrote, like, No Country for Old Men. It's just an incredible talent to have as a part of your film, and then to have it come out as garbage as it was. Now, it could have been a hodgepodge of everything. It could have been everything not meshing well together. I have a feeling, though, that it was mainly Ridley Scott wasn't really into it. He just wanted to work with Cormac McCarthy. I have a feeling the script just wasn't up to snuff, and the actors did not really know what type of movie they were in. But this movie is written by Drew Goddard. Now, Drew Goddard is the one who not only co-wrote Cabin in the Woods, but with Joss Whedon, but also directed the movie. He was the one who Sony handpicked to do the Sinister Six Spider-Man centered film, which now we know is kind of dead in the water. But looking at that, and on top of that, he did Daredevil, Marvel's Daredevil. He was the one who initially started that series. He came up with the storyline, and then Stephen DeKnight came in and took over because, you know, he had to go and focus mostly on Sinister Six at the time, which we now know is ended up being dead. But looking at what this movie is able to do and able to convey, I mean, you look at a lot of the visuals, a lot of the fact that this movie looks to focus very much on humanity and what it means to band together in a time of crisis. You know, they even say at the beginning of the trailer, you know, if a hiker goes missing, you know, people band together to try to find them. When an earthquake rattles, you know, a city or ravages a city, you know, the entire world comes together to send relief efforts. And I think this is on just the next scale, but showing how no matter what our differences are, that humanity will come together in times of impactful crisis and you know, species-wide relevance. That is a story that I think needs to be told, because especially in the climate that we live in now, with the way that the world is and the uneasy tensions between a lot of these countries, we need to get to a point to understand, listen, A, we're not the only ones in this universe. B, I don't think it's likely that we're going to be visited, but we need to understand that we need to come together to better mankind, and we need to come together to try to save the planet and make sure that we can actually live here for several hundred, if not thousands of more years, because right now we're destroying the planet. And even though that's not really going to be the centerpiece of the movie, the humanity aspect, I really do feel, is going to be that. Because you look at the crew, and they're saying that, you know, NASA has turned down our request to go and save him. If we go ahead and do this, it's mutiny. That's likely either, you know, they could be charged with treason. You know, they're basically all sacrificing their lives, which, it'd be, you know, in a public crisis like that, it'd be very difficult for any corporation to publicly scrutinize these people. But it looks absolutely incredible. I mean, I got flashes of Moon, I got flashes of Castaway, I even got flashes of Interstellar. Mainly because two of the main cast members in the movie were from Interstellar. But this cast is absolutely incredible. I mean, you have everybody from Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, Sebastian Stan, Kate Mara, you have Chiwetel Ejiofor, Jeff Daniels, Donald Glover is in the movie. Oh, I can't remember the German's name, but I've seen him in a couple of other films as well. But you just look at this eclectic cast, and brought to you by Ridley Scott from a script by Drew Goddard. This movie is going to be, at least my hope, and I hope that this is a return to form for Ridley Scott, because he is a phenomenally talented director. I mean, he's the guy who brought us Blade Runner. He's the guy who brought us Alien. You know, he even did, you know, what I would almost consider now a modern classic would be things like Matchstick Men. You know, that movie is so underrated. It's a phenomenal film. Anybody who hasn't seen Matchstick Men, go out and check it out, because it's just an absolutely incredible movie. And when you see a movie like this, which clearly he has a lot of passion for, because he sought out the rights to this book, as far as I'm aware. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section if he didn't, but I'm pretty sure that he sought out this project because Drew Goddard originally was going to direct it as well as write it. But then Ridley Scott came on board to oversee it, and I'm pretty sure he just, you know, he caught that bug. He's like, this is an incredible story. I feel like I need to tell it. So I'm on board with this. This movie looks absolutely incredible, but it might not be the greatest movie, which is unfortunate, because that's just what we've come to expect from Ridley Scott. And I really hope that he's able to overcome these objections and overcome these issues with his recent track record and surprise the hell out of us. If you haven't checked out the trailer, by the way, you can click the link in the description of this video below to watch the trailer on YouTube. But the movie's going to be opening up on November 25th, so we're going to be getting a lot more content from this film. I wouldn't even be surprised if this, in fact, did have a section either at Comic-Con or at possibly even another film festival of some kind. This won't be at TIFF, no way. It might be at Telluride, possibly. But I don't think it'll be at TIFF. It's too late. Might even be at Venice. I mean, who knows? Ridley Scott is known in the past to taking his movies to film festivals, but the big budget ones don't. So who knows? But the movie's going to be opening up on November 25th. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this film, about the cast, the storyline, all that kind of stuff. Let me know what you think. And again, if you haven't watched the trailer, click in the link in the description of this video below. But if we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Due to last week being the unofficial trailer release week, today's episode is comprised completely of brand new release trailers. This next one we've got is Steven Spielberg's upcoming Cold War drama, Bridge of Spies, starring Tom Hanks. Steven Spielberg has been one of the biggest influences on me getting into film. I've talked about this before on the show. The film that made me, there were two films in general, but the one film that really captured my imagination, captured the wonder and awe, and made me want to seek this out as something I wanted to do for the rest of my life was Jurassic Park. So Steven Spielberg, and once I saw that, I was then inundated with watching his other films. I'd already seen Hook, but I hadn't really seen any of his other films. So at that point, like that movie came. Well, I think I'd seen Indiana Jones, but that movie came out when I was 6, and getting to be able to go through Steven Spielberg's filmography at such a young age and being able to be captivated by this guy's vision, and not just the movies were cool, but it was. Every time I'd watch a different movie, and I'd go back to a Spielberg film, I could tell it was a Spielberg film. Like, he's always got that signature, as a lot of directors do, but I've always noticed Spielberg's capability. In recent years, even though his movies have still been critically well-received, I didn't flock to go and see War Horse. I wasn't all that intrigued by Tintin, because I never read Tintin when I was a kid. You know, and I never, like, Lincoln was a great movie, but nothing about that movie screamed, like, you need to see this, because it was a lot of stuff I'm such a huge American history buff. I love reading about American history. And so I knew a lot of the stuff about Lincoln when I went in to see the movie, so to me it was just kind of a refresher with Spielberg's stamp on it. And obviously with an amazing performance by Daniel Day-Lewis. But outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot in the film that made it Spielberg, you know? I mean, it wasn't a Spielberg movie. It didn't have that sense of, I mean, it wasn't meant to have a sense of wonder and awe, but it didn't have that signature Spielberg feel to it. It just felt like it was a personal story that he'd been wanting to tell for over a decade, because that was in fact true. But looking at Bridge of Spies, this looks like it's a return to the Spielberg that I remember. This is, you can tell that there is a fast-paced momentum to this. When I saw this, I felt like it was almost a spiritual successor, not a sequel or anything, but a spiritual successor to Munich. That was the feeling that I got from this trailer. It looks like it's going to be, you know, very well steeped in politics, but also fairly fast-paced. I have a feeling a lot of the elements in this movie are going to be further explored. We've been given little hints and stuff. The one most, I would guess, say standout shot or surprising shot in the movie was when Tom Hanks is arriving in Berlin, and he's on the train, and they look out the window, and you see the guys trying to climb the wall, and there's all these guards shooting them and just tearing them apart with bullets, and just knowing the horror of the situation, that's another thing that Steven Spielberg's really good at being able to do, is deliver horror and deliver tension. And this movie looks like it's filled to the brim with that. But getting back to what made this trailer really click for me was the fact that, he's reteaming with Tom Hanks, which every time he does that, he knocks it out of the park. Whether or not it's Saving Private Ryan or if it's Catch Me If You Can, he just knocks it out of the park every time. And being able to see Tom Hanks again in another movie, I mean, to me, it's been a while since we've seen Tom Hanks be Tom Hanks. I mean, we had, what was it? The Mary Poppins movie. I'm forgetting the name of the film, but he wasn't even in it for very much. And I felt that the movie was misled by the trailers, because it seemed like he was going to be, you know, the secondary character in the movie, when he really wasn't. He wasn't in it very much. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen Tom Hanks be the Tom Hanks we've come to know. And so I'm really excited to see him come back in this movie. Now, going back to Munich, it looks like this is going to be another, what I would say, very thrilling movie, but also historically relevant film, while still taking liberties with the subject matter. Because if you look at Munich was an amazingly well-crafted film. Very exciting, very true to life, but they did fabricate a lot of the information that came out. I mean, there wasn't just one team that went after these people. There wasn't an actual assassination list. There wasn't a list of people that they needed to go and take out. It was just, retaliation. And so they really did fabricate a lot of that stuff to make it a more streamlined story that the audience could follow. It looks like this could be another one of those times where not all the events that are going to be portrayed in the movie did in fact happen, or if they did, they were just exaggerated. Because if you remember, before Clint Eastwood directed it, Steven Spielberg was going to be directing American Sniper. And after the movie came out, and it was a critical success, and you know, I actually really did enjoy it. But Steven Spielberg came out and talked about what his vision of the movie was going to be. And it was going to be a lot more, it wasn't dealing as much with the PTSD of him at home versus being out at war. It was really going to be a cat and mouse game between him and the Syrian sniper. I forget what his name is, Mossad or Muhammad, or I can't exactly remember what they called him in the movie. But it was really going to be about their cat and mouse game. And even though Clint Eastwood's movie touched on that a little bit, that was going to be the main storyline of Steven Spielberg's version of American Sniper. Very different from the original book, because the book, I think, had one brief mention of this Syrian sniper, and Steven Spielberg was like, oh, that's a really cool hook, I'm going to make the movie about that. And so that's, again, telling a really well-told, historically relevant story while still taking liberties with the source material. And this could be another one of those times. But I'm hoping that this brings Spielberg back to being excited, because his movies, you don't see the excitement that he once had. His movies always, even if they were dark subject matter, they had excitement, they had energy. And the last couple of movies that he's had have felt a little flat. They really have. And I know I'm going to get yelled at from that, but that's just my personal opinion. Being such a huge fan of Spielberg and knowing that he's wanted to take a little bit of time for himself, but this looks like it's a return to form, and I'm really excited for it. I cannot wait for this. If you haven't checked out the trailer for Bridge of Spies, you can click the link in the description of this video below and check it out for yourself. But I'm on board with this. This hopefully is a return, which means we're going to get a lot of... I hope that this jumpstarts his his capability of getting Robopocalypse back on board, because that's a movie I've wanted to see for a while. Him doing basically like a robot uprising movie. It's like World War Z meets Transformers, kind of. But it's a really interesting social hook in the movie. It was going to star Chris Hemsworth. Like, it was going to be an amazing film. Just the budget got too out of control, and DreamWorks nixed the project. So I hope that this allows him to get back into that fold and get back into those types of movies, because I really do want to see him do an amazing, well-told, character-driven action film. Even though he said that he's kind of bored by action, but I hope that this film kind of gets him back into that mold. I really do, because it looks like this is going to be a fairly exciting film. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited for the movie? Do you think that this could work? Do you think that it might be another kind of blasé Cold War drama? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The movie's going to be opening up on October 16th, which means hopefully at least expect it to be in a film festival. I can see it being around TIFF, because TIFF's going to be the first or second week of September, so that'll give it about a month. I mean, we've seen a lot of films open up at film festivals, and they open a month later in theaters. So all of these movies, I think, are going to work really well. I hope that this is a return to Spielberg's fervor. You know, I mean, I guess I hope it's a way for him to return to the form that we knew that he could do. Even though his last couple of movies have been great, and they've been heralded as, you know, critical successes, they just haven't struck a chord with me personally as such a huge fan of his earlier work. And I hope that this is a return. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The movie's opening up on October 16th of this year. And if we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll do it for part 1 of this episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You get updates whenever a new video is posted. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And if you have a topic or a question you'd like to have talked about on the show, you can put a comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movienewswithniklsun, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun, Niklsun, @gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, we'll try to get to as many as I can. Last Friday, I did mean to have an episode up. I just had no time whatsoever to be able to record an episode. It was actually one of my only days off last week. Actually, I think it was my only day off where I actually had time to do stuff. So I'm planning on either later on today or on Wednesday's episode, I'm going to be addressing some of the questions that I had picked out originally to do on the Friday episode. So if you did submit any questions, don't worry, I didn't forget about them. They are coming. It'll most likely either be later on today or most likely actually on Wednesday's episode. So check back for that. But again, yeah, hit like, subscribe, comment, do all that kind of stuff, because I love getting feedback from you guys. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.